good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Fair.
Fair, huh?
Yeah, did I tell you my back's been hurting again?
Well, it started up again.
Yeah, when I was in Chicago. And then it felt like it was getting better and then reverted back again.
Because you got through Chicago. In Chicago, you were okay.
Well, I strained it a bit while I was there.
But you were still
But
able
then
to
it seemed
attend
like it was
meetings
okay.
and
Yeah. And
some of those meetings are not the most comfortable.
No.
I will say, like you're sitting at a chair at a round table and you're craning to look up this way at the person.
all of that stuff.
And yeah.
So I thought it was
not-
getting better, and then it's not. And so I finally broke down and did the thing that one of my doctors recommended. I didn't do
pay
it.
millions of dollars.
No, actually, quite a bit less. But
Okay.
I finally purchased, then put together, take a look at the screens, my inversion table.
You go upside down on that?
Yeah.
Really?
But you can control how upside down you get. So there,
I just 100% all the time.
No, because well, maybe eventually, but if you're not used to like the blood rushing to your head,
Yeah.
you don't start there.
I wouldn't imagine. Does it help though?
Well, I've only used it for 2 days now,
Okay.
so it's too early
Yeah.
to say. Oh, I was on it
It's
for
not
3 minutes. I'm
instantaneous
cured.
relief
No,
kind of thing?
Well, it is when you're on it.
Okay. Like the pain goes away.
Yeah. So what it does, and I know it seems like a contraption, right? I mean, you look at it and you go, what is this quackery that you're
Yeah.
talking about here? And what it does is it uses your own body weight. So you turn yourself like this, and it stretches
you
your
out.
vertebrae.
Yeah.
And
It takes that pressure off.
takes the
from-
pressure off. So when you have kind of, think of a sandwich, that's like your vertebrae and your disc, right? Like a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And since some of it slipped out a little bit, the bundle of nerves that goes right through the center of all of that is pinched.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do is stretch out so that disc slides back in a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been paying to have done at a doctor's office. But you're not upside down. It's basically you have a belt and the weight is pulling you like this. And my doctor said, you don't need to pay somebody to do that. This is what my doctor said. You don't got to pay somebody to do that. He said, buy an inversion table and do it yourself. And he said, just get in the practice of once you buy it and use it, just do it. Like make it
so
a
just
routine.
do even when your back's not hurting,
Just
you're still
do it.
supposed to do that.
Yeah, just to
Okay.
kind of keep it in shape. Because once you've injured it, it's kind of always going to be a problem, right?
Yeah.
So I ordered this thing, and after I did like extensive reviews, like you always read the reviews on
Okay.
stuff, like
Yeah.
online, and came down on this one, which I know money, when you talk about cost, it's all relative to your own situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I spent $120. That's what I'll
Yes. Okay.
it's
Okay.
not that's not like a $1,000 piece of equipment, which by the way I could not afford and would not spend
I'm
that kind of
sure
money.
you can buy them for thousands of dollars.
I'm sure you
too.
can too.
Yeah.
And this thing and one of the, not that I weigh this, so don't jump to conclusions, but it's rated up to 300 pounds. I wanted something that was like
Yeah.
beefy, like
Yeah. You didn't
I don't want to get on this
some,
and then
like,
get
flimsy
injured.
little thing that you just flip upside down
Yeah.
on a
Like-
popsicle stick.
Yeah, like recycled from the old McDonald's aluminum ashtrays. If some
Yeah.
of you remember the old ashtrays from McDonald's.
I wouldn't want to flip
Yeah,
upside down
right?
on that. No.
So I wanted something that had some heft to it.
Okay.
So when it said it was rated for 300 pounds, I'm like, I'm way under that. So I think I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
And this thing shows up. I kid you not. And I live on the second floor in this condo. The thing showed up, gets delivered. You could pretty much re-injure yourself trying to get that box upstairs.
That's usually how it goes, isn't
Right?
it?
Like,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I have to have it because I've hurt myself. So it took two of us to get it upstairs. And then that we got
Putting
on
it together.
Saturday afternoon it came. We get done with church. I'm too tired to put it together. Then Sunday comes, and Sunday morning we're putting it all out there. I'm a little tired Sunday night, so it doesn't happen Sunday night. So finally yesterday, I'm like, I gotta do this.
Yes. Okay.
So I finally get it together, and this thing has like 20 pages of instructions. I mean, it's not like 2 bolts and you're there. Like this thing is every single piece on the
20
thing
pages is significant.
is like, yeah, it's like IKEA on steroids, right?
Yeah.
And so I start, and it takes me roughly 2 hours
Okay.
to get this thing, and that's our guest room back. That's where that's at. We have 2 bedrooms, our bedroom, and then a guest room. And there you go. So take a look at that. So right now I haven't put it anywhere but kind of in the middle of the room. I need to really find a more.
Yes. Out of my way, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And luckily it does have a pin, so you can actually fold it. So you see it's
Okay.
like
So
this,
it does
right?
condense down a little bit.
Yeah. And you can pull the pin and you can like lean it up against something, right? So ultimately it can go away when people are staying in that
Okay.
bedroom, which by the way, all sorts of people have guest bedrooms. And you know what? They're useless. They get used like 2 weeks a year. And so I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we gotta have so many bedrooms because we gotta have a guest room. And like, how often does that guest room really get used? Like, almost never, at least in my world.
No.
I mean, you can see why nobody would want to stay at my house anyways, because I'm a complainer, right? So but maybe some people have guests all the time. Like I'm certain like Philip probably has guests coming in and out of the house all the time.
He does.
Today. And then there's me that are like, we'll just stay in a hotel, and I'm like, perfect. So this is in the guest room, and so get it done and begin with it. I tried it out last night, and at the bottom are these 2 places to put your feet, and you clamp your feet in because otherwise you just slide off.
Yeah, you do want
like
to clamp them in.
like
yes.
a Teflon pan. You'd
Yes.
slide right onto the
Clamp
floor
them in
under your
correctly.
head, right?
Yeah.
Talk about injury. So the little clamps at the bottom, you clamp your feet in there, and the thing literally isn't locked into place. There's those 2 like rubbery arm things, and you just slowly pull yourself back until you're at an angle. And it says to get going, do a couple of 3 minutes at a time.
Okay.
Get
Don't
used to
start
it.
with doing it overnight or something.
Yeah, and at the highest setting where you're like upside down. Because you actually do feel like the blood rushing to your head, even at the
you would. Yeah.
most slight of an angle. So I did it last night. Got up this morning, after my coffee, of course.
Good to have your coffee before you jump on that.
And then
Contraption.
I did that for contraption. It's not an inversion table.
Yeah.
It's a contraption.
Yeah.
And they sent me a gallon of snake oil to go with it.
Did they really?
Yes,
Comes
drink
along
it
with
every
huh?
day. You'll be healthy. So I did it for a few minutes, then I did my
Yeah.
normal gym routine, which is a little abbreviated with the back
So just
pain.
do a little bit, and then
And then I came back and did it again.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And it's only like 3 or 4 minutes at a time, right?
so it's just getting a little bit, and just
Yeah.
getting, hopefully, allowing the spine to
Stretch a little
realign
bit.
or get
Yeah.
the pressure off.
And so I'll do it again tonight. I mean, not for an hour, like a few minutes, and then maybe one more time before bed. Like just kind of establish a routine.
Get used to it. Okay.
And so I think after maybe a week of doing it at the first level, I might be ready to go to level 2.
Level 2.
And
Level
even
2.
level 1 is kind of like this. I
Yeah.
mean, so it's not like, oh, you're like, I mean, you're already doing this. So level 2 is like that, and like 3, I mean, you get to the point where you're just. So I
Are you
don't
going to
think
buy one for the office?
Well, Rachel suggested that it just get delivered to the office.
Oh.
She's like, it would go great with your pumpkin and your red shoes. Leave it at the office.
Yeah. I think we'd all you could do your meetings and stuff inverted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just can be kind of upside down. Talk to me that way.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm on a new regime, and I'll tell you, the doctor who told me to do this was the doctor in Wisconsin when I was up there this summer.
You had good luck with him.
And he
Knew his stuff.
he diagnosed me without touching me, like, oh, you got a slip disc and L5, blah blah blah. So when I saw him again, when I went to go visit my dad
Yeah.
back last
Mm-hmm.
month, I was like, I'm going to be close. I'm going to set up an appointment, see him. So I did. He's like, you know what? He's like, buy an inversion table. He's like, you don't need to pay somebody to do that. Make the one-time purchase and just use it. Like, don't use it as a thing to put your dirty clothes on, right? You know, like old
Yeah.
extra. He said, just use it.
I'm
And he
excited
said,
to see how it goes.
and
yeah.
so I just started, and I'm gonna keep. I can't do any damage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it should be.
the only thing I do know is I'm using it also as even though it's a small amount of time, as quiet time, because I know that if I'm halfway upside down and I'm doing this, I will eventually drop the phone on my face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
that
oh,
will
I'll just
probably
surf the.
happen.
Nope. I'm just
Yeah.
using it as quiet time,
Yeah, I think that's wise.
right?
I think that's wise.
So I just go in there and
Yeah,
just be.
just be.
Yeah.
No, like throwing phones at your face.
Yeah,
and,
right,
Like,
right.
just not that. Yeah, it would.
So it
Ruin the
says
whole
do
thing.
not use by yourself, like alone. And I get why they put that in there, but I think it really applies. Like if you bought one and you don't have a lot of upper body strength, and you get like into that position,
And you're stuck there.
you're stuck there. But if you have some upper body strength, you can totally use it when you're alone.
This is not a recommendation.
No.
To just use your own inversion table by yourself.
I'm not a
this
real
is not
doctor.
a pastor endorsement.
I'm not a
No.
real doctor. I'm not even a real pastor for that matter. So don't take advice from me. So I'm just saying.
But as far as Ben's concerned, go ahead, go hog wild
Yeah.
with an inversion
I mean,
table.
I think the test on that is, can you put it together by yourself? Because if you can put it together by yourself, then you can use it by yourself. If assembling it is too much, then don't ever be unattended,
All right,
right?
all right.
And at least the only good thing about this is I've learned from my youth. You know, you go back 20 years, 25 years, you'd get something like this to put together, and you'd be like, "Who needs instructions? It's intuitive," and you'd like have it halfway put together and realize that you missed an important step, and you
There
have to
are
take it
times
apart.
when yes, that has happened. to
And
me.
so
Yes.
I was extremely meticulous in terms of putting it together. Like I wasn't just gonna like, oh, this looks like this where this goes. Like
Yeah.
I slowly, including the two sides are different, like the two like L angles that support the thing. They were different because one had some extra equipment on it, and so they wanted you to make sure it stayed like this one is on the right side and this one's on the left side when you put the cross beams in, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
and so I went really slow because I'm like, I only want to do this once,
Fair enough.
and I did
Fair
it.
enough.
So there we go. Inversion table, and if things get bad enough, we'll get rid of this and we'll put one in here too, and we'll do broadcasts from the inversion table. So
I look forward to that day.
yeah, right. It'll be good. It'll be good. And I'm sure somewhere out there in the world there is. If I do a Google search, I bet you there's inversion table music. Don't you think? Songs to
there is.
levitate by,
Yeah.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I just had to get that off my chest.
I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
that is wonderful.
That's my life.
Doing fair though.
I think so.
Yeah, and hopefully doing better.
Man,
after
we'll find
another,
out. We'll hope in a week here. We'll see what happens, because it's kind of continual at this moment.
Yeah, it
you know.
hasn't. It doesn't just go away like
No.
as fast as it comes, which is really.
And I felt like I
unfortunate.
was on the road until I got to Chicago. But like I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel back to normal and blah blah blah. And then it just flared up, and it's just like, well, no, not so much. So doesn't stop me. It's just annoying, having that
It is
dull.
annoying. It
pain.
is certainly annoying. Any kind of
Yep.
pain or just a little tweak there. I mean,
Yep.
it can. Yeah.
So if the inversion table doesn't work, I'm just gonna have Linda bring me cookies every like 20 minutes down here.
We know that works.
That's my backup plan. So
We know that works.
sugar cookies until
Yeah. Yeah.
I die. So, anyways, that's my life, Ryan. I know you didn't ask for that. I know you did.
I
not
did
ask for
ask though.
that. I know,
Yeah.
but you didn't expect.
It was an answer. I walked into that one.
I know you
Yes.
did. It was kind of a
Yes.
setup. It was like an ambush. Well, let me tell you about my life. And
Oh.
so the next trick before we move on is trying to get Rachel on the inversion table.
That'll be great.
Yeah, I'm like this. A family that inverts together stays together.
I feel like, yeah.
So
I feel like it's kind of a
so we'll
like
see.
a party thing. Like
It is,
you
right?
leave it out. I don't think you put that away when the party comes over. Like
No,
when
maybe-
everybody comes over to the house,
It
like
becomes-
it becomes this focal point of everybody wants to try it.
maybe it'll-
I think it's
Maybe we move it
yeah.
in the living room.
I think you do.
Yeah.
Like it's not something you hide away.
I'll take
I
that
think it's-
under advisement. I
yeah,
like that.
I think it's everybody wants a turn.
I was afraid she was going to make me put it in the garage. Like from now on, you can park your car outside, and your stall in the garage can be the inversion. I was waiting for that.
Yeah. See, if you bought
So-
one for the Sunday school room down here, like the kids would it would be like your reward. You
Yeah.
can go inverted if you are quiet.
If you're good.
For the next 10 minutes, we'll get another person on, they'll invert you.
I will bring that up to Emerald.
And they would love it. Like,
See,
can't stop it.
Right? Lock your feet down, or if you can't sit still, we just put you on the inversion table and clamp your feet in there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So-
I think it's great.
Okay. So, anyways, I think we've covered that. I think we've covered all angles on that. Some deep
dive
deep
on a
dives,
Tuesday.
hard-hitting reporting.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, we finished our sermon series on God is in charge. We talked about the fact that God is in charge even over leaders. And we talked about Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel and an example of that. We heard that God is in charge and will show up to our rescue, like with the people of Israel when they had the army of Egypt behind them and the Red Sea in front of them. And then this past weekend, which culminated with Christ the King Sunday, which is a major holiday in the kind of the mainline Christian church, remember that Jesus is our King, but unlike the leaders of this world, where I took some time to talk about the difference between Pontius Pilate being a strong man in a lot of ways versus the suffering servant. And even asked the question, if you were there or online, I said, where do you gravitate to? Who
I
you
think it's an important
choosing?
question.
Who you
Because
rooting for?
It does. Jesus stands so opposed to what's out there in the world.
That's right.
And it is an important thing to reflect on.
Yep. Including that lip service isn't enough.
Yeah.
It's about what's in our hearts. And so as we explored that as a theme as a staff, one of the things we talked about was the music that would wrap that message at 8 and 9:30, because we have a couple of planning models. And so for 8 and 9:30, which are kind of two services that somewhat hang together, and then Saturday night and 11 o'clock are two different things. We talked about that great old hymn, Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. And we heard that a portion of it at 8 a.m. and then leading into the message at 9:30. But we came out of me preaching from a song that we brought in, and we realized today that we did not introduce our special guest singer that day,
That's right.
and we didn't do anything other than the message ended, and we wanted it to flow into that song as if it was a part of the message. So we didn't have a say, and now here's Elisa
It
Fiorello,
wasn't,
right?
We kind of wanted to be a moment we wanted to flow
Flow
in and
into it.
flow out of, and it didn't. The problem with that is it didn't set up an introduction.
Or a thank you in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, because we rolled right into something else.
Yeah.
And so Elisa Fiorello, we thank you for coming to church and singing with us, because she watches every Tuesday and Thursday. So I know she's waiting for that thank you. So, but she did this wonderful job
She really did.
of this song that Philip was like, I think we have the right song for this moment. Or it was Keith, I don't remember. And all of a sudden, it was in our planning worksheets that we have. And not knowing the song, we walked into this, and kind of halfway through the song, I went, and as it ended, at least at 8, or maybe it was 9:30, as it ended, Philip's playing for Elisa, and the song is coming to an end, and he looks over the piano at me. Do you remember that? Yes, at 9:30, he looks over the piano, looks at me, and I'm like, this is it. This is
And
awesome.
It was incredible.
So
yeah.
you might have already heard it. You might remember it. You may not have even gone to that service, but this is worth hearing again multiple times. And so with that, we're going to listen to Elisa and Philip of the song, I Keep My Eyes on You. Enjoy.
I'll keep my eyes on you. When I turn my gaze to people, they just let me down. But your love is the strongest thing I've ever found. Lord, I don't know why I try to take my life back into my hands, when all the time for me you had the perfect plan. So I'll do as you command. I'll keep my eyes on you. All through my days I want you always there before me. I don't care if wealth or fame choose to ignore me. Lord, I don't know why I try to live my life by my own design, when living in your will I find a peace sublime. So now and for all time I'll keep my eyes on you. Give me the sign to always see you. Give me the mind to want to please you. Give me the strength to do your bidding. Lord, it's fitting that I live my life for you. I keep my eyes on you. When I turn to see from where I've come, I trip and fall. I know that your love will guide me through it all. Lord, I don't know why I try to think that my life was just a throwaway, when you love me so much that you chose to pay. So as I live from day to day, I'll keep my eyes on you. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in his wonderful face. Then the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace.
Wow.
That wow is right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
once again, perspective check for everybody. This is not a brag, but man, where else, anywhere in the country, do you get music like that at church? I'm
And it was
just saying,
so
you don't.
incredible how it just fit with our worship.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still at
really-
times go, oh my gosh, pinch yourself. Like this is happening at church and not at a concert, right? Like just this is amazing, high caliber, beautiful, inspiring, all the above, right? Just, and you go, and this is what we do. And we are so blessed by it, right? And so this song is a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem.
Yeah.
And here's why. Philip or Keith said, "Oh, I think we could do this." And so, and I don't remember who originally, but then I went to Philip today. I said, "Give me a string that I can pull on to find something about this song." So he says, "I first heard it when somebody by the name of Cynthia Clausen sang it.
Okay.
So that's my first place to go use the interwebs. Like, let's find out a little bit about this song, right? Like 2 references to this song on the entire internet, period. The other one was sung by a woman by the name of Vonda Bierman.
Okay.
And she has several CDs, gospel, Christian music. So Cynthia Clausen, Vonda Bierman, that's it. And then and I even just tried to find like background on the song, and it's possible, although I cannot even verify it, that somebody by the name of Raymond Brown may have written this song. May. I
So-
can't even definitively,
You don't know.
right?
We just don't know. Wow.
I mean, I even tried to look for like sheet music that would have all that reference material on it. So this song is a hidden gem.
It is certainly a gem.
It is not
Yes.
out there in the world in any sort of significant way. And it's just like, wow. Right?
Yeah, and it was. I mean, she did a wonderful job with it. Like,
And
she
as you
just
know,
gave
we-
it so much life.
We
So-
went back to that chorus of that wonderful hymn, "Turn Your Eyes Upon
Your Eyes
Jesus"
Upon
at the
Jesus.
end. And but I mean, I think the lesson in this though is this understanding of where are we giving our attention? Not just at church, but in life. Where is our attention aimed at? And the answer to that question is unlimited because people put their energies at all sorts of stuff. You know, people of different faiths put their energies there. People who have no faith put their energies in other things. Christians put their energy towards Jesus on Sunday, but then sometimes throughout the week it's anything but Jesus.
Yeah.
And so this song is that reminder of, man, life can go sideways, life can turn upside down, life can be like an inversion table,
You can.
right?
Flip it
And
upside down.
you didn't think I'd work that back in, did you?
It was very
It's right
smooth.
there, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't rush it, did I?
No.
Okay, good. But where do we keep our eyes? Where do we keep our attention? And there's a few places in Scripture that talk about that in that sort of way, not just, having faith or being a person of faith, but where is our attention span? And the first one, and I have a couple of, well, they're all Psalms today.
Yeah.
The first one comes from Psalm 19, verse 8, and it says this: "The precepts, that is the teaching of the Lord, are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes." So think about, I'll keep my eyes on you. Psalm 19 says, hey, think about when you take in and apply wisdom, the teachings that we find in Scripture, it actually will bring joy and radiance. And you think, well, why is that? And I was thinking about this. I'm like, it's because not only are they good, and it's good for you. I mean, God has our best interest in mind, but it's also the fact that you have purpose. When you're following someone or something, and you're like, it's clearly laid out, like here's what it means to be this, whatever that is. Then there's some radiance because you're clear-minded about what it means
Okay.
to be a
Okay.
follower of something. And for us, we're talking about following Jesus. And yes, this is a psalm, so it's from the Old Testament prior to Jesus, but it still applies. You say, oh, well, yeah, the precepts, the teachings of Jesus are right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're good, and they give joy when you say, oh, and Jesus has compassion for those who struggle, when Jesus brings wholeness to those who are broken, when you see there's a need and he comes and fills it, and then he says, go and do likewise. You're like, okay, that's all good stuff. And then when we go and do it, we feel really good about doing those things, whether it's Operation Christmas Child, or it's Angel Tree, or it's peanut butter, or it's coats for kids, or you just name the things that we do, right?
Yeah. You set your eyes on something, and then, like you said, your focus
Focus.
it clears your mind. Like this is where I need to be, and I'm going to be present right here, right now, and live in that. And that does. You can see people who are living that way radiating. I
Yep.
mean, that's the word. I mean, they're shining.
That's right. And so there's light to the eyes, there's a brightness. And I think to myself, if you're clear on that, you're also clear on what you're saying no to. There are people trying to do everything and just juggling all the balls. And those who are like, this is the parameters of my life based on even the good news of Jesus, the teachings, and like, yeah, this is where this is my lane, right? I'm gonna stay in this lane. So it's easier to say no to stuff that like diverts out of that lane, right? And so I do get that joy to the heart and giving light to the eyes. Like, I'm focused on the right stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is important. And I think that really just flows into Psalm 119, verse 37. But Psalm 119, just as a reminder, longest psalm in the Bible, one of the longest chapters in the Bible, and it's all focused in on God's word. Because remember, there's like sections separated by every letter of the Jewish alphabet.
They have a letter for
So
each.
so it's all about God's word. But here in Psalm 119:37, it ties into that saying yes and to saying no.
Yes. So it says, turn your eyes away from worthless things. Preserve my life according to your word.
Once again, eyes, turn my heart, turn my mind from the dumb stuff of life, from the worthless things. And I was just thinking about last Thanksgiving. Because last Thanksgiving, I'm going to remember his name this time, Jonah. Remember?
Jonah.
I couldn't remember his name last Thursday.
Jonah. Yeah.
Jonah, when he's in the belly of the fish, he's in darkness. He has done everything but follow God. He bursts into prayer because he kind of remembers, like, oh yeah, God, yeah, that's right, God. And he starts praying. He's like, I feel sorry for the people who have turned to worthless things and missing out on the blessing that they could have. And he's talking about himself, right?
Yeah.
Because he's been like serving himself, and he's like, why am I doing this when I could be in the presence of God doing the things that he has called me to do and called you to do, called us to do? And he's like, man, when I turn away from those things, life is more fulfilling, more satisfying, more content.
Yeah.
And so I really like the conciseness. Man, turn my eyes away from the stupid stuff of this life and preserve my life according to your word. In other words, preserve means sustain me in the things that you want me to be about. Oh, okay. You mean that God might want us to like engage in certain behaviors, activities, and mindsets that will actually sustain me in this life? Well, yeah, right.
Interesting.
And I love that. And here's the thing is, like, some people look at the Bible as a rule book, right? Thou shalt not.
Yes. Yes.
That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. But that's how a lot of people do see the Bible.
Yeah.
Like it is just like, these are your basic instructions.
Yeah, and it's not that. It's these the premise, what's underlying these things that Jesus lays out, or you see in the Old Testament, that are meant to draw you closer to God, as opposed to, and I think I've told this story, but I had some church members back when I was serving a church in Illinois, and they were in a city on a Friday night, and I don't remember if it was in Europe or it was in the Holy Land or it was a big city on the East Coast, but either way, they were walking on the street and they were in a Jewish neighborhood, a very conservative, Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. And somebody, a stranger who lived there, approached them and said, "Would you do me a favor?" And these people were really sweet people, so they didn't look threatening at all, "Would you do me a favor? Would you come up to my apartment and turn on the water so I could run the water? Because I can't, because the prohibition from an Orthodox point of view is do no work on the Sabbath, Friday night, Sabbath.
Yeah.
So I can't work, right? So I can't run water because that's considered working." And they obliged because they wanted to help this person. But that's where you start to see the Bible as just rules. And then you look for ways around the rules. I mean, I think this person is trying to be faithful, don't get me wrong. But there comes a point where you're just like, I can't do this, but if I have somebody else do this for me, then it's not work, but I'm still doing the thing that I actually want to do by running the water so I can do that. Like,
And you start to see, I mean, a lot of the people in Jesus' time were trying to, like, they're listening to the Pharisees, telling them, "Oh, do this or don't do that." And they're just getting caught in these traps, and Jesus is trying to wake them up.
yeah, I mean, and I think the big teaching on that one was Jesus was saying, suppose you had a donkey that fell in a hole
Yeah.
on the Sabbath, would you not try to help
Yeah.
your own donkey
Yeah.
get out of that hole, who's probably in distress? And, and then there's all this hemming and hawing of, well, it's work. And he said, but what about the compassion, the things that underlie, and the care for what you have in that animal, right?
Yep.
And I think, or when Jesus was criticized for eating the heads of wheat as they were walking by a field, taking some grain and popping them, you're harvesting, which on the Sabbath, and therefore that's work, and you're sinful. Like it was all this minutia, where underlying it, what we see the more important things are the love and the compassion and the grace, and it is those things that will preserve our life, sustain us.
Yeah. That's what makes it all.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And then finally, Psalm 121, great psalm, and many a good songs have been written about Psalm 121. And I mean, it stands out there almost as prominently as the 23rd Psalm.
Yeah.
And the first line, and you probably know this, I lift my eyes to the hills, but where does my help come from? Question. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. So once again, I lift my eyes. I look to Jesus, right? And this person is thinking about the magnificence of the mountains. And, if you look in any direction here in the valley, you will see mountains. You will see the grandeur, the majesty, the beauty. And at certain times of the year on the spring mountains, you'll see snow
Yep.
up there. And once in a great while, you'll see it on the Sheepgate Mountains to the north. And you see the bigness of them, and you think of the majesty and the power. And he says, you look at that, and he's like, does my help come from those mountains? No. Or name any other big thing
Yes.
in your life, right?
Yeah.
Does your help come from Washington, D.C.? No. Your help comes from the Lord, right? And so that's that reminder is where are we looking to? And looking to God for all things. And it's easy to get discouraged and stop looking in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's that reminder. And I really appreciate Elisa coming in and sharing that with
It
us.
was wonderful.
And,
Yes.
but, so here's the thing. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock, not 7 o'clock, not 7:30, not 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock tomorrow, Thanksgiving Eve worship. And so if you're not going to join us in person, just know that 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be gathering in the sanctuary for worship. We will be streaming it, as we always do, but we'd love to see you if you're in town. And then right after that, depending on the offerings that come in, there will be pie afterwards.
Yeah. If people bring pie, we will have pie.
Yes, if there's pie brought, we will have pie. If there is pecan pie, I will have 2 pieces of pie. No, I won't. No, that's not at all. I got to watch the figure, so. But
it'll be a great night.
it'll be a great
Yep.
night. So if you
Yep.
can't join us in person, join us online. And yes, if you're wondering, at 3 o'clock on Thursday, we will be online for a little bit to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. So if you don't have lots of plans and you're not running around and you're just home and you're looking for a little something on Thanksgiving Day, you just turn on your computer or your TV and you can find us here at 3 o'clock on Thursday. So we can wish you happy Thanksgiving. So with that, we're going to sign off. We hope you have a great day and God bless you. We love you. And Philip, will you play us out?